Hey guys, hope you're having a good weekend. I wanted to kind of show something different today, maybe a couple of coins that are at their bottom and show their long-term possibilities. And then also, I think I want to go over where I can show you ways that you can research on your own really quick. I've got this one indicator that I believe would help a lot. Now, the thing about these coins that I'm going to show, actually, I've showed one before, ASTRA, and a lot of people are losing faith in it because it's not moving, and it's understandable. It just takes these. I'm going to show how it takes these a while to work out, especially these that are at the bottom and haven't really moved yet, because they tend to consolidate more, and then they have bigger moves after the consolidation. So if you can find the move, and we'll just go ahead and look at Astra real quick. If you can find the move before the big pump, then that's what you want to find, and you save yourself from all this sideways movement. Of course, we can't really tell. Astra, I've never played it before. I started posting about it maybe when it was close to the bottom here. I can't remember. So I'm not real sure how it moves, but I can tell you this: once it finally hit its bottom, it only took it 20 days to do a 2x. So I don't think anybody would be upset about that. And there's better coins. I mean, sure, there's plenty of coins that do better than this short term, but a lot of times that's just luck. Somebody jumps into it, it pumps real quick, they get out, or they stay in it and it comes all the way back down and they don't make any money. But just understand, when one pumps real hard like that, it's going to need rest. It's going to need time to go sideways. So this is a really good move. Currently, we are on the 39th day of the retrace. We're holding this as support, which is good. I mean, somebody had pointed out to me, they were asking me on Twitter, wasn't this inverted head and shoulders? And yeah, it was for sure. You would have expected it to play out, but sometimes it just doesn't. But clearly, we have, at the very least, currently, an ascending channel. You got your, we don't have a point up here to verify that just yet where it touched, but it's touched plenty of times here. And we know the more times it touches an area, the better chance it's going to break that area. So, there is a little bit of a concern that, hey, it could come down here one more time, could even come down here. I wouldn't expect it to come under this right here. And if it did, that would be a good place to buy. But again, there's always a chance it could come down and make a double bottom. I think I talked about that maybe a couple of weeks ago on Twitter. But there's a couple of patterns here. Let me make sure you can see this. Yeah. There's a couple of patterns here that Astra is doing, I believe. And one could be the ascending channel. Here it is right here. These are bottoming formations of the Wyckoff principle, basically. Could be doing a cup and handle like this, which just means it goes sideways a little bit longer. Double bottom still in play, obviously. It could come down and do that. Of course, the head and shoulders is not really a thing anymore. It's already shown that it's kind of broken that idea, and descending wedge isn't a possibility in this case either. I don't believe, because I don't think it needs to make a spring. I don't think it needs to come down one more time. As far as down here, I don't see it doing that. So I would say if you're in this one, just be patient, or if you're tired of waiting, that's fine. You can find something else to play. But currently, our resistance is 0.05, and our support is 0.035. And whichever way it breaks first, then you'll know, what it's going to do. But I would say if you get a candle under this on a daily chart, if you get a candle under this trend line going up, and it's a moving target, but say if it closed a candle about right here at 0.04, then it's at least coming here. And that's how these lines work. You can play the range, or you can play the breakout and wait for a retest. Let it come back, and then play that. But once it gets above here, right at 0.07, then you're looking at a huge move. And I'm not trying to get anybody's hopes up. I'm just saying this is the way it works. I think it would go to, it could come up here to do like a 5x, but well, let's see. There's a better way to find this possibly. This is just a trend-based fib. Yeah, so it could hit 0.25 on that first move, but I think it could make another a little bit higher high and go up to here. Oh yeah, that's right. I do have a way sometimes that I can figure this out. It's hard to tell right now because I don't have another peak to go by. Usually I like to connect this peak to another. Let me take this. Okay. So depending on how long this takes, I don't know, maybe into December or something possibly. Maybe this just keeps getting followed and it pushes it up eventually. I think that this is really close to where it'll end up, but it can push a little bit above it. Let me just see one more time. I want to check one more thing. Yeah, so your golden pocket's up there. Usually it pushes with this formation right here. Usually it pushes a little bit higher from what I've seen. So 0.25 could even get up to 0.34. So what you're looking at on this one, like say if you were in it right now, even if it came down, if you were in it right now and you bought at this level, you'd be looking at anywhere from 3.5x to 6.5x, something like that. And it could even push up to here, by the way. But that's really good money there, obviously. So it just depends on if you can be patient or not. I'm trying to think. Is there any other coin that looks like this where it has like a inverted head and shoulders? Yeah, this one could, but we don't know what it's going to do yet. I'd really need one. Let's see what Rune did. I should have looked this up ahead of time. Did that one do one? No, it came down and did a spring before it took off. I mean, look, this is a really good example. So basically, let me see here. Let's just put them side by side. So the area that we're looking at, let me make sure on this real quick. If it's this or if it's this. Okay, let's just look at this. So basically you'd be saying, okay, this is okay, so this first one here is this, and then here's this. So 1, 2, and then you're coming up. This one actually got a little bit above it, but it created a bearish pattern, like a bear flag right here at the neckline, where it was going to reject somewhere in here. That's kind of what this one did, honestly. So here we got that. Came down, went up. So here's that one. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's just judging by this, not saying it's going to happen. There's a possibility it could come down and do a spring. Let's see what this move was out of this one. 100 days, yeah, 2x in 100 days. This one was quicker. So that's one good thing about this one. It's actually quicker than the one it's quicker than Rune, but look at the move that Rune did after this. And this is kind of goes along with the consolidation idea. So here's the very bottom, and there's a 7x move. Okay, so let's look at it. Let's plot that on Rune. Where are we at? So we got that. We went up. This one could still push up. Maybe. No, it may be. If it is coming down, it's probably already coming down. So we'll just say, just for simplicity's sake, it gets down here, creates a lower low, and then it pumps straight up like Rune did. Well, not straight up. It's got a little work to do here before it breaks out. It took Rune. Well, that's a lot of days, 158 days. I don't think Astra would take that long. But what you want to watch for, of course, like I was just talking about, if you don't want to have to suffer through this coin, if you think it's going to break down like that one did, then just get out if, draw you a trend line right here like I have, and get out if you get a full daily candle under this trend line. Yeah, I mean, it's technically bearish, because of this. It's lower than this. It created, lower highs. Keeps rejecting at this resistance line. I thought it would have already broken out, but everything's dependent on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's going down right now, then this one will too. You can't just assume anything. So here's one indicator you can use. It's really good on the daily chart. I mean, you can see just by looking at it, it finds the bottoms and the tops pretty well. It is called divergence for many indicators V4. So just, you would just type that in here and you'd find it. And then I've got one more I was going to show you since I'm already talking about that. This is like an indicator package. It's called the RD, the Moving Average Official Indicator. I'm trying to remember who makes that. It's made by Phoenix Binary. And here's what it does. It's basically an EMA package that you can customize however you want. And it will, I mean, you can set it up to where it looks like it creates a cloud, and I'll show you that. That's one way I like to use it, because then when it peaks out of the cloud, you know that it's getting real bullish. I mean, you can see this thing has a long way to go. These EMA lines, you can use them as resistance and see how these two lines are intersecting currently. This is my trend line here. So at some point when this one turns up, it may be hitting somewhere over here. So that's late December. And that would make sense to me. So imagine, I mean, price could even go down some more. Change this color. Not the color I wanted. So yeah, I mean, maybe it comes down here, maybe it comes down here, but by end of December, maybe it ends up here. We are getting a correction for most alts right now from what I'm seeing. And that means Bitcoin must be too. I haven't really looked at it closely, and I don't plan to today. I mean, you can seriously just watch alts. You don't ever have to look at Bitcoin if you don't want. If you start seeing weakness in alts, like across the board, 90% of them, then, I mean, they're all going to bleed with Bitcoin going down. That's just the way it works. But yeah, I like this idea, but I also like maybe just a longer consolidation, maybe even come down a little bit. And eventually it's going to make a really big move. And the only way you're going to be able to know for sure that it's ready is if you get above this line right here. I believe if you get a daily close above this resistance 1 line at 0.005 roughly, then I think you're good to go. I mean, it's just running into a lot of people, a lot of supply up here that people are selling or they're shorting. Maybe these people that bought down here are selling up here, and they're starting to realize that, this thing could turn over. It's a 55% drawdown. You've covered that. Okay, so at minimum, I think this one's coming down to here, just based on structure. So you're going to get a 10% dip, in my opinion, and it could put a candle under this. We'll just have to see. Technically, if you wanted to look at just candle bodies, it is already under it. So technically, this is bearish. So what I would say is this, and this is not advice, financial advice, of course, but if you want, you could just wait to re-enter here if you're in it currently, and then that would save you any drawdown. So, you wait for it to break above, maybe retest. It may not retest at all, but if you see the breakout with volume, and let's see what that looks like. You hear people talk about, well, what's breakout with volume? What does that mean? It means continued volume, because sometimes you're going to get an engulfing candle right here. The market likes to play games. They try to collect as much liquidated money as they can. So, people that see the breakout right here of this, I know it's hard to see, but there is a resistance area right here, a really small one. So you got an engulfing candle on this candle, and people just jump in because they think it's going to shoot off like a massive candle like that. But it doesn't work like that, because these candles typically get retraced 50%, whether they break down or break up. So you have like this. Well, it's not a great example, but say if this candle was full, it came all the way back almost 50%. Like it looked like this at one point. And then that's what this wick is from. It pushed all the way back down. So price started price started here. It actually pushed down some, and then it shot up. So all these people that had set their stop losses right here below this candle, that were hoping that was the bottom, they got liquidated. And just understand that if you're going to play with margin, you should probably do a very low rate, like probably under 5x. And that'll save you for some of these drawdowns. In my opinion, and this is just me, I like to use cross instead of isolated margin. Cross will take into account all of your funds within your portfolio. So your liquidation price will be much lower. But if you want to use isolated, just make sure that you're giving yourself at least 5 or 6% drawdown possibility. If you found the bottom, otherwise you might need as much as 10%. But anyway, just be careful, because you can wreck your account with leverage. So volume, you can see the volumes increasing. The difference is massive spike here, volume increased for 3 bars, and then it fell off. So it went up like a roller coaster, basically, up, down. This one, it continued. And you say, well, how do I know it's going to continue? Because here's, maybe on this one, here's what I'm looking at. It looks great. Well, just don't FOMO in, is what I would say. Typically, if you see a massive move like this, just all of a sudden, it's probably a fake, because, and number one on that is this was a downtrend. So this was just like an automatic rally. And if you're clearly in a downtrend, you have to be real careful. Like I've got my downtrend line here, this dotted blue line. You have to be real careful with those, because you need to see a higher high from this previous lower high. So as you're coming down, you're creating lower highs, lower lows. You need to reverse that market structure, something like that. So, maybe you'll see the breakout of this, and then it comes back and retests it. And then if you get some volume come in on that retest, then you're good. But usually you're going to see the most volume at the breakout, because sometimes it's true, like this one, sometimes it's a really good buy, but sometimes it's false. And the only way you can tell is with price action. And so you got, on a lower time frame, what you got here was you had volume increasing, it pulled back, and it retested that area that it broke out from, and then the volume continued. So this is really the right way to play it. And this candle actually got above these. This was kind of a resistance at one point, this neckline. So this candle got above it, and that was a good time to go. Or the retest of it again, even. It just takes a while for this stuff to play out. And then currently it's sort of the opposite. You got volume coming down. Yeah, see how volume just, I didn't really mean to get into volume here, but declining volume. All right, so close the volume out. On this indicator right here, I just wanted to show on a lower time frame how helpful it can be. See how, I've got mine modified a little bit, where on the trend cloud, I do big. You could do small dynamic and it won't put the cloud. I like the cloud just because it's an easier, I can run through a bunch of coins all at once, just real fast, one by one, and see if they're bullish or bearish. So just choose big there. It also has these buy sell indicators, but I don't use any of that. I don't think they work too well. All right, so it did, if you're playing this, number one, if you're in a downtrend, these EMAs are going to be resistance as you go back up. And that's what happened here. And then it finally broke out. This one was resistance. It broke out, but now it broke back down. So I would imagine this comes down and tests somewhere in here. What is that, a 10% drawdown? No, it's 20 on this one. Okay. So if you can hold this line, I think you're fine. Yeah, even if it comes down to here, you're fine. Yeah, I mean, so it could just keep going up slowly and then take off. Or if you get a major move back down, then expect a major move back up. I mean, like a massive, what did we talk about? And if it did come down here, it would end up being like a 10x. But if it stays kind of in this range, then you'd end up with, 4x or so. I really think that move is going to happen, but it could take till the end of December. So either be patient or find something else to play. So these are bottom plays I'm talking about. I wanted to show you another one here. And this is my method, by the way. Just I'll show you real quick. So I've got this on, and I don't really use it any other time, but for this, just to see where coins are, if they're at the bottom or if they've already broken out of the EMA cloud, that sort of thing. This one went crazy, by the way. It's a newer coin, so it doesn't work as well there. I mean, I could move this down to like a 4 hour and it would tell me something, yeah. But see how good that works? Like the top of the EMA, which is a 200 EMA at the very top. I think this one has a 1250 and a 100. Oh, I've got the 21 hidden. So I got the 2150, 100, 200. And as you go up, you want the 12 to cross above the 50 to cross above, what did I say? Is it the 100? Yeah, 50 to cross above the 100, 100 to cross above the 200. This is a macro bullish. These are like, on a lower time frame bullish once these smaller EMAs start crossing up. But see, they can cross up down here too and then reject you at that line. So just remember, every line is a resistance point, especially when it's in a downtrend. So it created a lot of change of structures here on lower time frames, and then eventually it created, well, basically this whole thing was the retest of the breakout down here. It might have done a small, yeah, there might be a small one here where it retested. I can't tell. Sometimes you don't get that retest. Okay. Anyway, what I was gonna say is I go through these real quick on a daily chart and just see, are any of these near their bottom, or have they just broken out on a daily chart? And I can wait. Here's another one, Nexa. It hasn't really broken out yet. It's still creating lower highs. Let's see, that did that. This could be a spring right here, by the way, where this would be the very bottom. But it is seeing resistance here. Looks like it's trying to move up to this one. Then it might come down here. Then it might break above and then come back down and then be ready to go. Saying, yeah, see how this one came down and it broke through all these EMAs and now it's using one of them as support. It could still come down to this one though. I'm seeing a lot of alts that are kind of going sideways and then might roll over, which is what I was talking about DOGE the other day. And I kind of lost track of it and couldn't figure out where I was seeing that pattern. But I think it's still going to happen, that it's going to come down about 10% or maybe a little bit more. Anyway, you get the idea. Here's another one that's at the bottom. It's done pretty good retest here, actually. Oh, it's VGX. Okay. Yeah, this one doesn't look too bad. It looks like a big triangle pattern, really. Well, maybe not. Maybe the triangle's already played out. But it may end up being that. Something like that. And then eventually a bigger move out of it. Okay, so let's go back to SRM. And just one thing to say about this one, I mean, it's not a good coin for one thing. I don't really believe in projects for the most part. I mean, there's ones like Gala that are true projects and not just a bunch of fake money being pumped into crypto. But one thing that is good about it is if this is the bottom, or at least close to it, then because of the long consolidation, you can take advantage of a massive move out of that consolidation, kind of like XRP does, consolidates forever, kind of like Doge does. There's other examples. But what I'm looking at on this one, I mean, these are very clear structures to me. The only question is it going to hold this line? Basically like a cup and handle, hold that line and then go? Or is it going to just keep coming down here and on a much higher time frame create a double bottom? And so that's the only thing. I don't know if it's ready to go yet. One thing you can do, this is the longer term trend line right here, by the way. This, I should probably make a different color, make it solid. So here's your major resistance on your trend line. It's all the way up at the very top, 2021 or something. So if you get a break out of this, even if you're going sideways and you move above it, that's a signal that it could be ready. Anytime it could just take off and retest this and then move up. So the first move on this one, as far as what I'm seeing, let's say it does come back down to here. Here's the first move. That's so we're 2.5x. And here's the second move. That's an 18x. And I don't really think that it would go past there for this bull run, and maybe it would. But if it does, I mean, that would be like, let's say if it actually got to the previous high, that's 186x. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't see that happening because there's a lot of resistance here. But anything's possible. I mean, I wouldn't rule anything out. But just because something has an all-time high doesn't mean it's going back to it. Just understand that. So, play these levels. And then if you get the breakout again, like say if this went up here, you took profit, came back down maybe halfway, you got back in. I don't know what it would do at this point. It might just go halfway and slow down again, but eventually it might make it up here. And then you take more profit. And then, maybe you'd not get back in. And it's pretty good, making probably 20x between the two moves, something like that, if you play it right. It's not easy to play these right. But you can see how this makes kind of a longer term bull or a longer term V shape. That's typically how coins act. But just understand that this coin is slow. I mean, it's slow just like Doge and anything else. If it, like, look right here to the very bottom, that is 332 days. Let's say that extended out the same amount of time. Roughly, what are we looking at? August of next year. I don't think anybody would complain about getting whatever it is, 18 to 20x over that period of time, but you would have to be extremely patient, of course. So hopefully that makes sense. Post in the comments if you have any questions about that, and I'll do specific coins. You just tell me what you want to see. If you see something that you think might have some promise, let's take a look at it. But I think these targets are real good on this one. 16 to 17 cents, maybe a little bit higher, and then something right below 90 cents, I think, is about right. I really studied this one closely, and I think this is I think that this is the right number. Again, I don't know that this one's going to happen. Let me see what this is real quick. That's interesting, actually. Yeah. I feel real confident about that. But I've got a way that I talked about it a little bit earlier where I connect some things here. And it points to this exact target. And that was that also that when I measured the time from here to here and pushed it over this way, it ended up at August, and this shows September. So I don't know. I mean, that Sounds like a really good play, even though it's not a good coin. And other coins are going to go crazy during that time. So if you do something like this, you got to be patient. That's a long time to wait. But if you're a long-term holder and you just want to throw a little bit of money into it, even if it just comes back to this line and goes lower, even if you bought here, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. You'd still make 20x. So, throw $100 in there and you get 20,000. That's it's a pretty good return on investment. Is that right? What did I say? 20x? Oh, sorry. 2,000. Where did I get 20,000 from? Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense on that one. Okay, we talked about Astra. What else? Okay, AZERO. I'm still looking at, this pattern looks exactly what I was trying to explain on Doge, where, and I like this coin, by the way, where it just does this for a bit. Wait, that's not right. I don't know if that's, yeah, that might be the one I was thinking of. Let's see, you come down, you went up, come down. It could still do this, maybe. It's hard to know exactly where it's at. It's either going to do one more of these and then come down, or it's just going to kind of play around here and then come down. I think it comes to about right there, which that's where I had my support level anyway, so that makes sense. When this happens, all altcoins will bleed some. Right now, you're seeing just a lot of up and down, sideways, like I was talking about. So some coins are doing well, some aren't. It's going to be a boring time, I think, for a little bit. Wish I could figure this out, though. Yeah, it could still come up one more time. Anyway, that's the idea. Something like that. One of the two. I might be able to tell more by looking at this, looking at money flow. Yeah, that's tight to the line. So the way we would know is if it pushed above 140 and then it comes up here to this line one more time, it comes down. You got one impulse, two impulse, three impulse. Notice how these impulses, here's the first one to the resistance and it has to come back a little bit. But since it's more of a flat move, it's not going to correct as much because it went up slow. Then you had this big impulse and it has to come back more. And now you've got an even more vertical impulse. And so it has to come back even more than this one. So in that case, since this was about 11% drawdown, this one has to be more than that. I think it's somewhere in here. I don't know, 15 to 18%, something like that. It doesn't have to come back and touch this line, by the way. It can end up a little bit short of it. Yeah, that golden pocket's right above that line. It might touch a line. We'll see. Let's see what this one did. It went sideways for 1, 2. Yeah, it could correct soon. Either it goes sideways a few more bars and then corrects, or goes up first, comes down, goes sideways a few bars and then corrects. That's the way I see it anyway. But yeah, clearly you can see here on Market Cipher, the most important thing on this chart anyway is momentum. You can see your money flow is one momentum indicator, where negative money flow is going positive. So in that case, you usually get some kind of pump out of it. And this is on a daily chart. The pump probably would have started much sooner than when you would have seen it on a daily chart. You'd have to go down to at least an hourly or something. So if you saw money flow starting to curl up here, you would, like, say, if you were looking at this right here, you would go over here to the hourly, and here's what you would see. Wait, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. It's more like this. Anyway, I'm not real sure where it was, but the idea here is that you would see it turn green. You know, money flow would go green sooner on the hourly chart, of course. So you could have gotten in much sooner, caught more of the move. I don't know, it's something like that. Could even stop sooner. You know, it could stop here. Just depends on if this holds or if it breaks down from there. Okay. Didn't really want to get into too much here today. I was just going to show a couple of coins. Doge, you know, here's the pattern that I did. And even though I deleted those posts because I wasn't real sure, I probably should have kept them up because the momentum was still coming down. I mean, nothing really changed on a high time frame chart. The money flow continues to roll over. So I was just second guessing myself, and I probably shouldn't have. But I don't want to mislead anybody either. I mean, the things that I post on Twitter are really for me mostly just to hone my craft and get better uh, at what I'm doing. But long term, of course, Doge is going to go crazy. I posted on here that you know, it's going to $1. KDA is another one. Just looked at on Twitter. It's going up to $8 to $10, I believe. Let's see what happened here. 19 hours ago, we'll probably do another 30 to 40% before major resistance hit. 4-hour candle almost a day ago. I doubt that happened. It's good to go back and look at what you did. What did that say? Oh, it was pushing into the resistance. Okay. So it did move above it some. So Friday, November. Okay. 19 hours ago, Friday. Is that here? Yeah, that was this one, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. Ain't no way it's doing a 30% from there. This still matches, by the way. See this wick down and then another wick down. If you see it going sideways like this for many days, then it's probably going to do this. And I think my target on this was you know, just so y'all know, if you do want to buy back in, let's say it gets back up here to the resistance, be about 10%, maybe a little bit more. At one time, I thought it was going to be much more, but I'm not positive. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of alts that look like they're going to do 10% at some point here in the next week or so. So let's see, that's the 4-hour. What's the daily look like? Yeah, daily VWAP's coming down. Short term, it's probably going to see a move back up. I mean, this is one of those impulsive moves. You know, these moves that go straight down real quick, where it's got a. I mean, it almost always comes back, and you know, it does like a 50% retrace the other way. They're not going to let people just jump in, market buy, and flush it down all of a sudden, unless Bitcoin does a big wick. I mean, that'd be the only way. Those are pretty rare. What's that other thing I was going to talk about? There was one more. I think it was Rune. Oh, I already had it up. There it is. Okay, Rune. So the only reason I wanted to mention this one is because I think this is a good short opportunity. So this is only for those people that do leverage. You know, if you actually want to short something coming up, This one's pretty overextended. The only thing I don't know is if it's ready to do its big rollover. But here is your, let me double check on this resistance, because I may have it in the wrong place. Yeah, it does look like it's a little bit higher. I don't know. There's an order block there. Actually, there's one other indicator I wanted to mention. There's one called Market Structure Break and Order Block by Emery KB. It will show you, well, it'll show you break of structure, as far as higher highs, higher lows, lower highs, lower lows, to where you don't have to watch them so much. So here you had a neckline and it broke down. But also, why is it not showing that? It's supposed to show the order blocks as you go back up. Let's see if it'll show it on this. Maybe it's only lower time frames. Huh. It usually shows it. Well, I'm not real sure. Anyway, you can use the break of structure as profit taking areas as well, because there's going to be resistance there usually. Let's see how it worked out. Well, there's just a little bit on that one. Yeah, currently it's hitting this one right here. See that one? That was previously a support line, but I mean, the major one is going to be up here a little bit further, maybe here. No, here. Something like that. I don't know. That's probably why I had that line there, because I knew it was one area of resistance. It doesn't matter though. Anyway, what I was looking at on this is, it's very overextended. What was this move? So, here's an example of a coin that consolidates for a while and then goes crazy. It did a 3x. Let's just see what the consolidation time was. And here's one of those situations, it came up, and I think we did talk about this one already because I've got my marks on it, but it came up and we thought it was ready to go and then it turned over. This is the first time I'm talking about this one though. All right, so it does seem like there's something to do with this, by the way, just from a macro standpoint. Sometimes these have a big rollover and then it creates all this down here. When this all breaks, that's usually when it's ready to go. Let's just see real quick if there's not really anything, and there's not enough to see there yet, but maybe ASTRA shows something. It may be building the structure right now, actually. So maybe this right here, let me get all this out of the way. Maybe this is the structure and it's just now building it. And so, works around in it a bit and then bam. So just know that that's a possibility. Just consider that like a neckline. And then once it breaks out of that neckline, it's gone. And that's when that big move happens. SRMs is hard to know just yet. There's probably not enough information, but I guess you could say that. Oh yeah, it's just basically the long-term trend line. Okay, so lower time frames, and I'll just end with this because I don't want to spend too much time on this one. You basically just got a triangle with Rune currently. If it gets below this, you can see that the current support line is really acting like a midline. So if you get a candle below that on like a 4-hour or a 3-hour, even a 1-hour, I guess, really what you're looking at is to see if this right here, there's a structure right here that is the current lower or higher low, something like that. Even if it came down here and didn't break this, but you saw some wicks like go real deep, that shows weakness. So even if it comes back up, this might be a good place to take a short because these wicks showed that weakness, and you can just, get a best entry that you can get right there. I don't know why that's not connected. It's probably something like that. I'm waiting on this. I'm not entering the short just yet. I mean, I'd love to enter it at the top, but I need some kind of confirmation of a breakdown. And this line right here at 587 roughly is your confirmation. If you get a full candle close below that and volume. Of course, your volume would be red in that case, not green, because it's coming down. So don't worry about this one if you don't do leverage. Okay, I think that is about it. Oh, check out Pendle. Might be a good coin to get into. It's like a real low market cap. I don't know if it's ready or not. It looks like it's trying to push up. Yeah, actually, that one looks pretty good. I need to look into this one more. I just found out about it the other day. Well, no, I take that back. I would think that it would come back here at least once. Well, I'll keep an eye on this one. I'll post it on Twitter. I'll do some. I haven't really had a chance to do any analysis on it just yet, based on the way that I look at things. Okay, I'm going to end it there. Maybe we'll talk next week. Just watch my Twitter, hit the like, do what you got to do.